Hi everyone, it's Jody from Growing Book by Book. We just got back from an art fair in St. Louis. Hi Betty. And both of my boys fell asleep in the car, which is like that never happens. And my husband had to go to work today, so I was like, oh, I have a few minutes, I can jump on Periscope. So let me flip the camera around here. Hi Joy. Hello everybody. Thanks, Betty. Yeah, so the reason I decided to do this scope, and I've been wanting to do it for a couple of days, is, hi Teacher DLT, is I've had a few emails this week about how do you go to the library and get books, good books, if you have a toddler or preschooler in tow. So I thought I would jump on and share a couple ideas of things that have worked for us. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jody Rodriguez, and I blog at Growing Book by Book. And I have two preschoolers, a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old. And we have been going to the library since they were both toddlers. I kind of skipped, yes, I love the libraries too. So I got to tell you a quick little thing about the library. I actually live outside of St. Louis on the Illinois side of the river. And our community does not have a free public library. And if I would have known this or checked this out before I moved here, I do not think that I would have moved to this location. I know, I just cannot believe. I mean, it's not like we're in this little tiny rural area either. I mean, we're 30 minutes drive from downtown St. Louis. So, whoops, camera's falling on me here. Sorry about that. The good news is there are libraries in neighboring communities, and so we can pay for a library card to check out books at any of those libraries. So we do pay because to me it's totally worth the price. I do have issues, the fact that there are lots of families who live in our community who don't have the funds to be able to pay for a library card, and then so therefore they don't have access to a free library. So yeah, that's kind of one of my big pet peeves about here. But anyway, back to how do you get books at the library when you have a toddler or preschooler in tow? So there are some things that have worked for us. First of all, we check out probably 40 to 50 books a week. We go every Tuesday. It's like a set routine for us. The kids know it's Tuesday, it's library day. And the librarians know to look out for us on Tuesday too. Yeah, Betty. Oh, that's awesome. Yep. And that's one of the reasons I do take my kids every week, Betty, is that I want them to get into the habit of that's just part of their weekly routine, is to go to the library and get great books. It saves us a ton of money. I still do buy books. That is one of my weaknesses. But I kind of use the library as a litmus test to see if we want that book to come into our house or not. So if it's a book that we keep checking out over and over again, then I get to the point where I'm like, this is a book that we need to buy and add to our library. So that's one of the many great uses about using the library. Thanks for the hearts, guys. So there are kind of 3 tips that I have for getting content at the library. And my first one is using the library's website. I am a big user of ordering books online and from other libraries, because we have an interlibrary loan, and then they're there on the shelf for me, waiting for me on the hold shelf when I get there. So we probably have anywhere from 5 to 15 books a week waiting for us, and I simply just do it at home. I can go on and order the books, all the brand new books that I see that I want, and just place a request, and I use that probably on a daily basis. I'm ordering a book from the library. So that's my first tip. My second tip is I still want my kids to be able to pick out books, and there's a skill in picking out good quality books. So when we're at the library, depending on how many books I have on the hold shelf, I usually tell my kids, okay, you can pick out 10 books each or 15 books each or whatever the number is. And I let them go through and find the books that they want. And they're pretty good at knowing where on the shelf some of their favorite authors are, and they can go right to the shelf. My 3-year-old can go to the Lucy Cousins section and pick out the yummy book, the big yellow book, over and over and over. He knows where if you give a pig a pancake is, or the other one that he seems to get almost every week is Who Made That Cake? So he knows where all those books are. Now it'll be interesting. Our library is going under, or is currently under construction. And so everything's going to get moved around. So I'll be curious to see how the kids react when all the shelves and things get moved and their favorite books aren't in the spots that they know now. But one of the reasons that I order so many books is because I want to make sure that good quality books are coming into our house. My kids have a tendency for finding all the books that go with the different TV shows and the different movies and things like that. And I let them, oh, yep, Pigeon books, absolutely. We know where all the Mo Williams books are. Elephant and Piggy, our favorites. And there's a new Elephant and Piggy book coming out in maybe a week or two. Let's see, the new one is I Want Slop, something like that. Something with Slop, the new Mo Williams book. So that should be out. It comes out sometime in October. I want to say the 13th or I don't know, one Tuesday in October. And then after that, I know I'm sidetracking here, there's only one more Elephant and Piggy book in 2016, and then the Elephant and Piggy book series is coming to an end. We're heartbroken here. But Mo Williams is an awesome author, and I'm sure there will be some more great books by him. But anyway, back to getting good books. Number one, use the library website. Order books through there so they're waiting for you. Saves a lot of time, especially if you have a toddler or preschooler in tow. Number two, do let the kids pick out books. But what I have them do is I have them put them on a table, and then I kind of weed through them and kind of pick the ones that I think should be coming home, and they don't really remember, so that's good. Now, if there's something that they're dying to have, and it's a book related to Paw Patrol or something else that's just not good quality literature, I still let them get one or two of those books because in the big scheme of things, if we're bringing 40 to 50 books home and they each bring 2 books home that just isn't that great, that we consider it kind of twaddle books, that still means even if they each bring 2 home, we're still 90% of the books that we're bringing home are those better quality literature books, those rich books that I want them to listen to. So I'm okay. I let them pick out a couple of those books if they just have their hearts set on it. For us right now, that means Star Wars Lego books. But anyway, I think it's important. I mean, there are times I tend to think that I read pretty good quality literature most of the time, but every now and then I just want a trashy novel to read, so that's okay. And then the third tip I have for when I'm with them is those books that are at the library that I know that I want that I didn't need to order because the library has them on the shelves. I make sure that I take a list because I can never remember once I get there which books I wanted to get. So I usually have a short list with me of books that I know I wanted to get that are on the shelves at our library. I've also been known to order those too, so the librarians pull them for me and they're waiting there too. So kind of depends on the day of how well I think my kids are going to do. So those are 3 tips for getting content. Now, behavior at the library can be challenging with toddlers and preschoolers, especially toddlers. And it also depends on your library because some libraries are a little more lenient on the noise level, and some libraries actually have the children's department sectioned off so that the noise can be a little bit higher in there. But I still try to, and the library that we go to does tolerate noise a little bit better than some libraries that I've been in. But I still do try to teach my kids that we still need to use soft voices at the library, and the reason for that is that there are other people there who are trying to read and need quiet or are working on projects and things, and I think it's something that's important that they be respectful of the other people in the library. However, they're toddlers and preschoolers, and they're not going to get it right all of the time, and they need practice. And one of the great things about having a set routine of going to the library every single week is that you're reinforcing that every single week when you go. So my kids are really actually very good now because they've been going to the library for a couple of years every single week. And we've been practicing these same things and these same reminders when we go in. And the other thing is I can be pretty attentive to them when I'm there and play with them when they're playing with puzzles or things like that, because the books that I've wanted, I've already pre-ordered, or I have a list and I can quickly grab those off the shelf. So I'm not being distracted by looking for books, although I still check out the new releases and things like that that are there. But I can be a little more attentive to their needs. And then the other kind of time where it seems to be a little chaotic with them is at checkout time, especially if you're checking out 40 to 50 books. So one thing that I have found helpful is that I give them a job when we're checking out. So we have our bag that all of our books go in. And so as the librarian is checking out the book and handing it to them, they have a job of putting it into the bag. So it's kind of keeping them busy instead of just standing by me while everything's being checked out. Our library also has a little container of bookmarks that some ladies in the community make out of old greeting cards. And so each time my kids go, they get to select one, and they're decorated with stickers and things. So my kids have a fun time looking through, trying to decide what bookmark they're going to take. And that eats up a little bit of time too and keeps them occupied. So those are just some things that have worked for us. Hi, TLU. So glad you could join us. Those are some of the tips that have worked for us for going to the library. So for those of you who just joined us, I'm going to recap real quickly. Hi. Tips when you're finding content at the library. Your computer is your friend. Pre-order books, especially if I see them on a website or somewhere in Publishers Weekly or something. I immediately put in a request at the library. That way the books are waiting when you get to the library. You're not having to search for them or order from the library once you're there, which can be tough to do with little ones. 2, do let the kids pick out the books. We practice how to take out a book just part way off of the shelf and look at the cover and see if it's interesting. If it doesn't seem appealing, to slide it back in. And we also practice if you take a book out and you look through it to see if you want that book, what you should do with it when you're done. Our library has a cart that they want you to put them on. But I do let my kids pick out some of their own books. And then 3rd is take a list with you. So if you know that there are some books at the library that are on the library shelves that you want, take a little list, because it's really hard to remember with little ones which books you wanted to get. But pre-ordering those books really helps you be more attentive to the kids when they're playing and helping them learn those library skills. And then my final tips were at checkout time, to have a library bag for the library books to go in. As the librarian's checking out the books, hand them to the child and let them put them in the bag. That keeps their little hands busy. And so those are just a few tips. I'd love, if you have more tips, type them into the comments right now for me real quick so I can share those out too. I know I was kind of hesitant when my first child was born. I'm like, oh, when are we going to be able to go to the library? He can't be very quiet because he's little, that kind of thing. And it's one of those things you finally just jump in and you do it. And it just gets easier and easier if you go every single week. So if you have some tips, I'd love to hear those too. And if not, we're going to end things now. Again, for those of you who joined me late, I'm Jody. Use the self-checkout and kids can do their own books. Oh, definitely, yes. Our library just switched, so our holds used to be behind the shelf, so we always had to check out with the librarian because they had to pull our hold books. But now they just recently switched that, and you get your own holds now, so we can start using the self-checkout. And it's like going to the self-checkout at the grocery store. The kids love to scan the books. You're absolutely right. That's a great tip. And getting to know your librarians is key too. One of the reasons that we go every Tuesday is there's a certain librarian that's at our library that my kids, Miss Sherry, they absolutely love, love, love. And so they want to make sure that they can see her on that day. In fact, this past week we went and she wasn't at the main desk. She was up in the adult section and we had to take the elevator upstairs just to see her. And my kids, found out when her birthday is and they plan to make her a birthday card. And so, yeah, absolutely befriend the librarians, and they'll even start to pull books for you that they think that you'd like too. Yours is Sue. Yep. Awesome. Awesome. So, there was something else I was going to say and I just lost it. And I should probably go wake up my children, otherwise they will never go to sleep tonight. Oh, I know what I was going to show you real quick before I left were 3 of our favorite books that we got from the library this week. And 2 of them are actually books that we probably should buy because they get checked out over and over and over again. So my 3-year-old is in love with the 3 Little Tamales. It's a take on the 3 Little Pigs. But they're tamales instead of pigs, and they run into Senor Lobo, and he wants in, and they won't let him in, and he says, well, I'll huff and I'll puff like a Texas tornado and blow your casita from here to Laredo. So it's a really fun book, 3 Little Tamales by Eric Kimmel. Another book my 3-year-old constantly is checking out is Construction Kitties. I have a 3-year-old who is obsessed with construction vehicles. In fact, if you go to my blog, Growing Book by Book, there's a whole list. If you just search for construction books, there's a whole list of our favorite construction books because he's been on a big construction kick for quite a while. And then the 3rd book that we actually used for our story time in the park this week, we do a weekly story time in the park for our community. Where we share a book and do literacy activities in the park, and then the kids all play together at the playground afterwards, was Can You Make a Scary Face by Jan Thomas. She is also the author of The Rhyming Dust Bunnies, which is one of our all-time favorite books. But this is an interactive story where the kids, they stand up, sit down, make scary faces during the story, and all sorts of fun things. So those were 3 of our favorite picks from the library this week. So anyway, thanks guys for joining me again. Jump on over to Growing Book by Book, and I have over 60 different book lists on lots of different topics and themes, and I share literacy ideas for kids ages 0 to 8. And if you go to almost any of my posts down at the bottom, or actually if you scroll down on the main page all the way down to the bottom, there's a place to get my weekly free newsletter. And I do book giveaways every month. In fact, today's newsletter, my newsletters go out on Sunday morning, and today's newsletter has a book giveaway in it. And as we get closer to the holidays, I give even more books away. So make sure you sign up for our my weekly newsletter where I share lots of tips and ideas and literacy activities. So thanks everybody. Have to check my, yes, you have to check your email. It was delivered early this morning, so check it out and sign up for the book giveaway for this month. So thank you everyone for joining me. Bye.